So let's talk about the future of wine. And believe it or not, it might just be coming from a tire company. Today we're diving into a technology called Bienesis, and it could be a complete game changer for vineyards everywhere.
But before we get to the cool tech, we have to ask a pretty serious question. What exactly is killing the world's vineyards? Because let's be honest, the climate is getting tougher and tougher out there, and for winemakers, the stakes are incredibly high.
All right, so here's the plan. We'll kick things off with the climate crisis that's hitting wine country. Then, we'll look at a wild solution from Michelin, of all places. We'll break down their smart canopy system, see how it held up in testing, and then talk about where they go from here, the path to scaling this thing globally.
Okay, first up, a climate crisis for wine. Vineyards have always been on the front lines, dealing with an unpredictable climate. But these days, it's less of a delicate dance and more of an all-out fight.
Yeah, winemakers are basically up against what you could call the four horsemen of the vineyard apocalypse. We're talking about extreme, out-of-nowhere frosts that can just kill off the buds. Then there's devastating hail that literally shreds the grapes. You've got intense heat waves that can scorch the fruit right on the vine. And to top it all off, a heavy downpour right after they've sprayed their vines just washes all that expensive protection away. Any one of these can completely wipe out a season's hard work.
So, where does the solution come from? You might think an agricultural university or some big farming co-op, right? Well, how about a tire company? Yep, you heard that right. This is a solution from Michelin, an innovator you probably didn't see coming.
So let's meet the company. Bienesis. It just spun out from Michelin's Innovation Lab back in February 2024. So this is a brand new deep tech startup, but it's got the DNA of this huge legacy industrial giant behind it. Pretty cool combo. And it all started with the founder, Francois Lemaire. He said his goal was to take all that engineering experience from Michelin and point it at a totally new challenge. He wanted to build a business beyond tires to protect vineyards. I mean, think about it. If you can make a material that survives thousands of miles on hot asphalt, maybe you can use that knowledge to protect something as fragile as a grape.
All right, let's get into the tech itself. Section 3, the smart canopy system. So what is it? The simplest way to think about it is like a smart, AI-powered umbrella that protects the vines. Let's see how this thing actually works.
The big idea here is something they call integrated multi-hazard protection. It sounds a little technical, but what it really means is that instead of having one solution for frost, another for hail, and so on, this is one single system that can shield the vineyard from all four of those big threats we talked about. It's an all-in-one shield.
And the way it works is actually super straightforward and kind of brilliant. First, it senses a threat using on-site sensors and a weather station. Step 2, the AI brain kicks in and pings the grower's app with an alert. Then the grower can just deploy the whole system from their phone in seconds. And finally, this high-tech textile canopy unfolds over the exact rows that need it, protecting them.
I mean, just think about how different this is from the old way of doing things. Traditional methods, they usually only handle one problem at a time. They're often permanent fixtures or they're completely manual. Plus, they just cover everything indiscriminately. But the BioVernis system, it's a 4-in-1. It's on-demand, remote-controlled, and, this is huge, it can protect just the specific rows you want. It's so much smarter.
Okay, so the concept sounds amazing, right? But the big question is always, does it actually work? Well, it's time to put it to the test. Let's look at the incredible results from their pilot program in Burgundy.
So they set up their pilot in Mory-Saint-Denis, which, if you know wine, is a legendary spot in Burgundy. And as luck would have it, the weather that year was just brutal, which was terrible for the winemakers, but actually a perfect stress test for this system. And the results? Honestly, they were just staggering.
Just look at this. The protected vines hit 90% of their target yield. 90%. Now look at the unprotected vines. Literally in the same vineyard, they only got 40%. That's a 60% loss. The difference is it's night and day. It's the difference between a successful year and a catastrophic one.
And this pilot really backs up their main goal. Their target is to slash total production losses by up to 80%. Just let that sink in. An 80% reduction in losses. Think about what that means for a family-run vineyard, for the stability of the industry, and yeah, even for the price of the wine you buy.
So, they've proven it works. Now what? Well, now it's all about the path to global scale. How do you take this from a successful pilot in France and get it to vineyards that need it all across the globe?
Well, a huge piece of that puzzle is a key partnership they've made with Vivalis, which is part of the ONIA group. These guys are a big deal in vineyard technology. So they've invested, and they're bringing the muscle to help Bienesis actually build these things at scale, sell them, and get this tech out into the world.
And they have a really clear roadmap. So, 2024 was all about spinning out of Michelin and locking in that partnership. Right now, they're focused on scaling up in France and the EU. After that, the obvious move is to head to critical U.S. markets, think California, Oregon, and what's really cool is they're already thinking ahead to 2026, with plans for a next-generation system that's even more sleek and discreet.
Of course, all of this takes money and the right kind of support. So, who are they looking for? They need strategic investors who get agrotech and climate tech. They need corporate and industrial partners. And they're looking for funds that are really focused on impact and sustainability. Basically, they're building the coalition that can turn this from a cool startup into a global standard.
And that really brings us to the final big question here. We started this whole conversation talking about wine, but the potential is obviously so much bigger, right? These AI-powered umbrellas, they could protect anything. Think about high-value crops like apples, cherries, you name it. They face the exact same threats. So, are we just looking at the future of vineyards? Or could this be the future of farming, period?